It is known for its bohemian atmosphere, association with artists and writers and philosophers, and it has these iconic cafes where intellectuals have gathered.
Welcome to the Stories Café podcast, the espresso version of Stories Café, offering quick, enriching moments of reflection on literature, cinema, archetypes, philosophy, and the art of living deliberately. Just like a perfectly crafted espresso at a Parisian cafe, each episode is a brief pause for you to submerge yourself in something invigorating and fulfilling. I'm Annette Wernblad, course creator, internationally published author, and wanderer at heart. So cozy up as we explore the powerful world of stories, how they shape our lives, and teach us the art of living deliberately.
Today, we are going to Paris, to the left bank of Paris, to what is called Saint-Germain-des-Prés. And actually, it is so central to me for the whole concept of our wonderful community fellowship virtual cafe, that idea of the Saint-Germain area of Paris. And actually, the image I have when I say, let's imagine that we meet in a cafe and that we sit there like all these great artists and thinkers and philosophers have been doing for centuries. My image in my head is always centered around the Saint-Germain-des-Prés area of Paris. So let's just talk about the area. It's because I want to say a little bit about the difference between Saint-Germain, that area, and Saint-Michel, the 6th arrondissement, which we're in today, and the 5th is that. The historical significance of the Saint-Germain-des-Prés area is that it was originally a religious center. It is one of the oldest established parts of Paris, and the Abbey, the church, was established around 543. So this was originally a religious center centered around that abbey, and then it evolved into an intellectual and cultural hub over time. It is known for its bohemian atmosphere, association with artists and writers and philosophers, and it has these iconic cafes where intellectuals have gathered, actually since the revolution. Whereas the Saint-Michel area, which is, well, it's not relevant today. It's actually named after the Archangel Michael, and the famous fountain at Place Saint-Michel is historically a student area. And that means that the 5th arrondissement has a lot of bookstores, cafes, and it's centered around the university. Whereas the Saint-Germain-des-Prés, it was, as I said, originally centered around the Abbey, and then it developed into, after the revolution, into a vibrant artistic district. So the difference, if you could say it that way, is what is it? I almost see it as a sort of symbolic archetypal meaning of each of these two areas, which is quite different, is that the 6th arrondissement is more bohemian. It has more to do with people who break away from societal norms, whereas the 5th arrondissement is more student-based. And as I said, after the revolution, the 6th, where we are today, became a backdrop for a cultural shift of breaking away from the norms. People like Verlaine and Rimbaud, the poets, and then later, of course, the lost generation in the 1920s, the American lost generation, and then later in the 1950s, the existentialists, all of them sort of embodying a departure from the expected norms. You could almost say that French existentialism in the 20th century was born in this area. You could say the same thing about surrealism a little bit early. And that's why I say that when you watch Midnight in Paris, a lot of the people like Salvador Dali and the surrealists in the 1920s, they were all centered around this area. So that's just a little bit about the difference between the two areas. Nowadays, both areas are more sort of tourist infested. Can I say that without sounding snobbish? And as I said, the Abbey was founded in 543. The Notre Dame Cathedral was founded in the 12th century, just to compare how old this area actually is in terms of the cultural significance. And originally the whole structure was Romanesque, but then gradually it took on Gothic features as well. So architecturally, it is a very sort of interesting combination of the Romanesque and the Gothic traditions. And just walking inside that cathedral is a mind-blowing experience. But very often I actually never get around to going inside, because the square outside and those little bookshops and cafes and just the whole history that, you know, that all these famous people used to sit there and talk about all the things that we always talk about in our virtual cafe. It always tends to fascinate me more. All the other cathedrals, like the Notre Dame or the Saint-Sulpice, I can easily go inside those. But this one, I find it hard to leave that area outside, because it's just so stimulating and interesting. So this is it is an area where even though you have a lot of tourists, if you want a little tip, if it's really, really nice weather, you tend to want to sit outside, which in France is called en terrasse, that you want to sit outside on the terrace. But actually inside, there are no tourists. So if you come and there's so many tourists in the Café de Flore or les Deux Magots, just go inside.
Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed your espresso break and learned something new. If you're eager to dive deeper into the world of stories and ideas, be sure to hit the follow button in Spotify or the plus button in Apple Podcasts so that you get each new episode straight to your podcast app. You can also visit us at Stories Café. Just go to stories-cafe.com. There you can explore free content for a taste of what we offer, or if you're ready for more, a paid membership unlocks in-depth discussions, full access to our archives, and a vibrant community of fellow story enthusiasts. I am so thrilled to have you here, and I look forward to welcoming you back to the Stories Café soon.